learn a new lesson in 12th standard. This is a future designing here, so you must be really cautious in observing and learning all the important concepts in chemistry. In first of all, totally there are 7 lessons in chemistry, and today we are going to learn the first lesson. There are 7 lessons, and today we are going to learn the first lesson, that is metallurgy. So the first lesson in 12th standard chemistry is metallurgy. So in this, what are the learning objectives of this lesson? We are going to learn the extractive metallurgy, the extraction of crude metals. The extraction involves different steps: refining or concentration of the ore. Second step will be extraction of the metal, that involves oxidation, reduction of the metal oxide into metal. And the third step, refining or purification of the ore. Thermodynamic principles involved in metallurgy, or the thermodynamic principles that are connected to the metallurgy, electrochemical principles that are connected to the metallurgy, and all the electrochemical process, electrode reaction, uses of all the elements like aluminium, iron, copper, zinc, etc. So these are the learning objectives of this lesson. And in this lesson, we see important scientist whose name is Ellingham. That is Harold Johann Thomas Ellingham. Harold John Thomas Ellingham. He was in the year 1867 to 1975, and he is well known for his Ellingham diagram. And this Ellingham diagram that relates about the thermodynamic principles involved in the metallurgy and the conversion of the ore, that is the metal oxide into metal using reduction. And he also gave the thermodynamic stability of some of the oxides, and he also gave some methods that was used to reduce the metal oxide to metal. Before itself, the earlier people, they have reduced the metal oxide into metal by using carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. In the earlier time itself, they used this process that the metal oxide is reduced to metal by using carbon dioxide and carbon monoxide. After that, this Ellingham gave the scientific explanation of the reduction of metal oxide into metal. So this is only a general introduction about the scientist Ellingham. He is well known for his Ellingham diagram. The Ellingham diagram is very much useful in predicting the thermodynamic condition and the reduction of the metal oxide into metal. What are the possible or feasible method by which we can convert the metal oxide into metal? These are all we can learn using this Ellingham diagram. So he is a scientist of interest in this lesson, Harold Johann Thomas Ellingham. He is well known for his Ellingham diagram. So this is the introduction about the lesson. Then here we know that in the earlier time itself, the metal was used by the earlier people unknowingly. The composition of the metal, they don't know the composition, and they are only limited use. But after that, what happened? The scientists, and in our day-to-day life, we are using the metal as usual, or we are using the metal which is of more use or increase in use. But we have to reduce the waste. Reduce the waste and increase the efficiency of the metal. Increase the efficiency of metal. So in the earlier days, they have used this metal which are of only limited use, but in our day-to-day life, we are using the metal in larger quantities, in larger properties, and they are of maximum use in our day-to-day life. So it is very important to know about these metals, and the study of these metals will come under this metallurgy, or it is nothing but a science that involves the extraction of the metal from the mineral, or the extraction of the metal from the ore. The steps involved in metallurgy, everything we learn in this metallurgy. And then in this lesson, you will also learn the thermodynamic principle and the electrochemical principle that was related to this metallurgy. Here, our earth crust contains many metals in native or in combined state. Native or in combined was obtained from the earth. Okay, that is known as mining. And the metals which is present in the native or in combined state, they are known as minerals. They are known as minerals. And here the metals, pure metals, are mostly present in the native state. And the metals with low reactivity, pure metals with low reactivity like silver, gold, copper, platinum are obtained in the native state. So only we are using it for preparing jewelries. Okay, silver, gold, copper, platinum, they are all coinage metals and they occur in the native state. And the metals with high reactivity, for example, alkali metal. High reactivity, for example, alkali metals, they are used or they are present in the earth crust as compounds. They are present in the earth crust as compounds or in the combined state. So it is very important to learn the extractive metallurgy of all the low reactive as well as high reactive metals. Now I am going to give the difference between minerals and ores. So we know that the minerals was obtained from the earth crust through which process? Mining. And we are going to see the difference between, we are going to see the difference between mineral and ore. Mineral and ore. Mineral and ore. Okay, for example, iron which is present in nearly 800 compounds. Iron which is present in nearly 800 compounds are 800 minerals. So it is good to say only minerals, 800 minerals. But iron is present in large quantities. Iron in large quantities, or iron is present in large quantities in hematite. Hematite and magnetite. Hematite and magnetite. Iron is present in large quantity in hematite and magnetite. So we can consider only Fe2O3 and Fe3O4 as a ore. Okay, what is the ore? Ore is nothing but a mineral from which a metal can be profitably or economically or conveniently extracted. It's called a ore. A mineral from which a metal can be profitably or conveniently or economically extracted or in large quantities from the mineral is known as ore. For example, I give another example. For example, you take bauxite, which is an ore of aluminium, and we will take China clay. Okay, these two are minerals. Okay, bauxite Al2O3 into H2O and China clay Al2O3 into SiO2 into H2O. Here both are considered as minerals. But from which mineral I will get large amount of aluminium is bauxite. So from bauxite only I will get larger amount of aluminium. So bauxite is an ore of aluminium, whereas China clay is not an ore of aluminium. It is a mineral. So bauxite only I am getting larger amount of aluminium. So bauxite is an ore of aluminium, whereas China clay is not an ore of aluminium. It is a mineral. So I will give one statement. All ores are minerals. All ores are minerals. But all minerals are not ores. All ores are minerals. But all minerals are not ores. All ores are minerals. But all minerals are not ores. This is an important statement in metallurgy. From this statement you can able to understand what is an ore and what is the mineral. All ores are minerals. For example, these two are ores. They are minerals. But which is an important ore of that metal? Bauxite is an ore of that metal. From bauxite only I am going to take aluminium. These two are mineral. But which is an ore? Bauxite is only an ore from which I can profitably extract the aluminium, that is helium. So this is an important important statement you have to remember. All ores are minerals, but all minerals are not ores. Up to this one, you will get many one word. For example, the example for this bauxite, the formula for bauxite, china clay, it can be asked in one word. And in short answers, what is a mineral, what is an ore, that can be asked. And the statement can also be asked in the one word. So this is the difference between minerals and ores. And in the extractive metallurgy, three important steps are involved. In metallurgy, three important steps are involved. First one, concentration of the ore. First one, concentration. You have to keep in mind that this is the three important principles used in metallurgy. That is first one, concentration of the ore. Concentration of the ore. Or enriching the quality of the ore. Or improving the amount of ore in the mineral. Second one, extraction of crude metal. Extraction of crude metal. Extraction of crude metal. And here, refining or purification of that metal. Refining or purification. Refining or purification of that metal. So these three are the principal steps involved in metallurgy. So these are only you are going to study for different metals and for different elements. Okay, these are the three important steps that you have to remember in metallurgy. Concentration of the ore, second one extraction of the crude metal, third one refining or purification. Now I am going to explain in detail the concentration of the ore. What are the steps involved in the concentration of the ore? What is concentration of the ore? By removing the earthly impurities like gangue or matrix. What are the earthly impurity? Mud, stone and other impurity that are present, other elements that are present, that is removed by this concentration method. So we are going to improve the amount of that ore in that mineral. So that is known as, or improving the quality of the ore is known as concentration of the ore or enrichment of the ore. So we are going to see in detail the first method, that is first principle, that is the concentration of the ore. So there are different steps depending upon the nature of the metal, depending upon the nature of the ore. The concentration methods are different. For example, here the first method is hydraulic washing. Hydraulic washing or gravity separation process. Hydraulic washing or gravity separation process. Gravity separation. And the second method, it is nothing but our froth flotation process. Froth flotation. Froth flotation process. And the third one, froth flotation process. And the third one, magnetic separation. Magnetic separation. And the fourth one, leaching. In leaching, different methods are involved. Fourth one, leaching. So these four are the concentration of the ore or the methods involved in the concentration of the ore. First one, hydraulic washing, or other name is gravity separation process. So 1 mark they can ask. And the next one, froth flotation process. And the third one, magnetic separation. Fourth one, leaching. So these are the methods involved in the concentration of the ore or enrichment of the ore. So first I am going to explain hydraulic washing or gravity separation process. So in book there is no diagram, but simply I am drawing a rough diagram with this. That is the crushed ore particles. The crushed ore particles are placed in a sloping bed. Crushed ore particles are placed in a sloping bed, and it was connected to a tap. And here the heavier the ore particle will have high specific gravity. Ore will have high specific gravity. Ore will have high specific gravity, and the impurity will have low specific gravity. Will have high specific gravity, and the impurities will have low specific gravity. Now the powdered ore along with the impurities placed in the sloping curve, and it was connected to a tap, and a current of water is sprayed above the ore particle, and here the lighter impurities are washed away and the heavier ore particle remain in the sloping curve. And and after that it is dried and it is used for other purpose. And this method is particularly useful for the extraction of gold, extraction of native gold, and this method is also used to concentrate the oxide ore like hematite, oxide ore like hematite, and also oxide ore like tombstone. So, or you can also say that this hydraulic washing or gravity separation is mainly applicable for oxide ore. So this you have to remember. So in the concentration of the ore, depending upon the nature of the ore, different methods are involved. For example, hydraulic washing or gravity separation is particularly applicable to the elements present in the native state, that is gold, and as well as it is applicable to oxide ore such as hematite and tombstone SnO2. This is a very important keyword in hydraulic washing or gravity separation process. Then the second method we'll see is the flotation process. So in flotation process, it is particularly suitable for sulfide ore. For example, zinc sulfide and lead sulfide. For example, zinc sulfide and lead sulfide. Or ZnS is also known as zinc blend. ZnS and PbS is also known as galena. Or it is nothing but zinc sulfide and lead sulfide. So this flotation process is mainly applicable to sulfide ore. Already told that the concentration of the ore or the methods involved in the concentration of the ore are applicable to the ore depending upon the nature of the ore. For example, hydraulic washing is applicable to oxide ore, and this flotation is applicable to sulfide ore like ZnS and PbS, that is galena, and lead sulfur zinc blend, that is ZnS. Okay, so we'll see in detail the flotation process. Here, the powdered ore is taken in that container, and the powdered ore is mixed with water and pine oil. Pine oil also you can use. Also you can use eucalyptus oil. Okay, this pine oil is nothing but frothing agent. Pine oil is the frothing agent. Pine oil is responsible for the froth. So here we are taking the powdered ore, mixing with pine oil and water, and it was taken in the container, and to that I am placing a stirrer which is connected to the air supply, and I am inserting a motor along with the air supply, and the air is passed through this motor, and this air will stir the powdered ore particle present in that container. At that time, we are adding another one compound known as sodium ethyl xanthate. Sodium ethyl xanthate is nothing but a collector. What is the role of this collector? This collector will collect all the only the sulfide ore particle, and it will make it as a froth. And this froth will come to the surface of the container, and this froth will be present as foam or froth will be present above the container, and after that what happens, we will stir or skim off the froth, and it is collected in the another beaker, and this froth will have the sulfide ore particle, that is zinc sulfide ore particle that was taken in the beaker, and it is dried, and then it is used for further purpose. So this is the flotation process. Okay, if in the powdered ore some other zinc sulfide is present, for example, I need only lead sulfide, but it contains zinc sulfide also, then what I have to do? I have to take some depressing agent. What is a depressing agent? I have to take depressing agents. I have to take depressing agent. That is, for example, I need only lead sulfide, but zinc sulfide is also present. Then zinc sulfide is considered as an impurity. I want to suppress the activity or floating of the zinc sulfide. For that, I am adding depressing agents like sodium cyanide and sodium carbonate. This will depress the activity of zinc sulfide or floating of the zinc sulfide. This will be settled down. Zinc sulfide, only the lead sulfide ore particle will come to the surface of the container, and the lighter impurities will remain at the bottom of the container. Okay, so the heavier ore particle will stick on to the surface of the froth, and the lighter impurity will be present at the bottom. So this is the flotation process. Again, I tell the powdered ore is taken. It was mixed with fine oil and water, and this water will make the impurities to be soluble, and fine oil makes the ore to be soluble, and fine oil is used as a foaming agent or frothing agent, and ore is taken, and I am passing compressed air. When I pass air, froth will occur, and the froth will come to the surface of the container, and here I am adding a here the floor will be skipped off and it is dried, filtered and used for further purpose. And if I want only one sulfide ore particle, I don't want another sulfide ore particle. For example, here I want only lead sulfide, not zinc sulfide. Then I have to add one depressing agent that will depress the floating of the other sulfides. For example, sodium cyanide. How it will depress? It will form a complex. It will form a complex with zinc sulfide. It will form a complex with zinc sulfide, that is with the zinc sulfide will form a complex and will depress the floating activity of this zinc sulfide and improve the concentration of the lead sulfide ore. This is known as the flotation process. The next one, the third one, electromagnetic separation or magnetic separation process, in which here two rollers will be present. Two rollers are present which is connected by a belt that will be moving. One roller is non-magnetic, another roller is magnetic, and I am placing the powdered ore from the hooper and the ore particle move towards the roller or wheel, okay, from the surface of the belt. Here what happens, the magnet will attract the magnetic ore particles and it will be separated nearer to the roller, and here non-magnetic ore particle will be separated as a separate heap. So this is how you can separate the magnetic ore particle from the non-magnetic impurity or non-magnetic ore particle from the magnetic impurity. So you can also separate tin stone from wolframite, which is magnetic. Okay, so first method, tin stone from wolframite, which is magnetic, and chromite and pyrrhusite can be separated from non-magnetic siliceous impurity. So already I told that we can either separate magnetic impurity from non-magnetic ore particle or non-magnetic impurity from magnetic ore particle. So we can also separate tin stone from wolframite and as well as chromite, pyrrhusite from non-magnetic siliceous impurity. Siliceous impurity, that is, it is nothing but the muddy impurities you can separate from this chromate and pyrrhusite. So these are the important concentration methods that are involved, and this method is particularly applicable to the magnetic as well as non-magnetic ore particle which involves magnets. So it is known as electromagnetic separation process. So this key point you have to remember. Hydraulic washing is applicable for oxide ore, and flotation process is applicable for sulfide ore, and electromagnetic separation is applicable to remove the magnetic as well as non-magnetic impurity. Okay. So this is about the three concentration method. The next method is leaching. Okay, next method is leaching. So this method is nothing but the ore is treated with suitable solvent. The ore is treated with suitable solvent. It forms a complex. Solvent, it forms a complex, and that complex will be reduced to the metal. So this is the fundamental principle involved in the leaching method. And the first method that we are going to see in leaching is the cyanide leaching. The first method we are going to see in leaching is cyanide leaching. So in the cyanide leaching, the powdered ore which is treated with sodium cyanide, aerated dilute sodium cyanide. Okay, the first method involves sodium cyanide. For example, it is mainly involved in the extraction of gold. Extraction of gold. Extraction of gold. Okay, the aerated dilute sodium cyanide is added to the gold. It forms a complex. Forms a complex like this. And this complex, which can be reduced by using a reducing agent, for example zinc. So this elemental zinc can be used to remove the gold metal from that complex. For example, 2AuCN2 minus. This was added, and this will give rise to the gold in the elemental state or in zero oxidation state. So this is a very important reaction. When I add zinc, that is a reducing agent, it will reduce the zero oxidation state. Zero oxidation state or elemental gold. Zero oxidation state or elemental gold. Zero oxidation state or elemental gold. Okay. So this precipitate, it will be obtained as a solid and this will be soluble, and this gold is obtained in the zero oxidation state or elemental state. So this process is known as cementation. So this reaction or this process is known as cementation. Cementation. So here in cyanide leaching and taking added dilute sodium cyanide and treated with gold in the extraction of gold, it forms what? A complex. That is, this complex was again treated with zinc, and the zinc reduces this into elemental gold or gold with zero oxidation state. So this process is known as cementation. So this is known as cyanide leaching. The next method, alkali ammonia leaching. Ammonia leaching. So next method of leaching is ammonia leaching. So in this method, nickel, copper, cobalt can be leached using this method. For example, it was treated with aqueous ammonia under suitable pressure. Aqueous ammonia under suitable pressure. Suitable pressure. It forms some of the complex like these complexes are formed from the leaching of nickel, copper and cobalt in the presence of aqueous ammonia under suitable pressure, and we get these complexes. Then these complexes can be reduced and they can be used for further purposes. So this is the ammonia leaching. The next one, alkali leaching. Next one, alkali leaching. For this I am going to take the bauxite or alumina. This is used in the extraction of alumina. So this alumina was treated with sodium hydroxide, aqueous sodium hydroxide. So the formula for sodium hydroxide is NaOH. Was treated with aqueous sodium hydroxide. It forms a complex like this. Forms a complex like this. Aqueous, that is Al2O3 plus 2NaOH plus water, it forms a complex, and this complex will be soluble, and this is obtained by heating these mixture at 520 Kelvin up to 520 Kelvin at 35 atmospheric pressure. 470 to 520 Kelvin at 35 atmospheric pressure. So this is how we are going to leach all the properties or leach all the metals present in the ore. So here in alkali leaching, I am going to take this bauxite which was treated with aqueous sodium hydroxide solution that was heated at 470 to 520 Kelvin at 35 atmospheric pressure. We will get a complex, and this complex can be again treated with carbon dioxide gas which is soluble. This complex will be soluble, that is, it is obtained as a filtrate, was treated with carbon dioxide gas. This sodium complex, that is, this complex formed from the leaching of the bauxite ore, will get another one compound that is known as A2O3 BXH2O. Here both are an aqueous medium, and we get this byproduct, and this is the main product, and this product is again heated at 1670 Kelvin to get pure alumina. This product is again heated at 1670 Kelvin to get pure alumina. Again I tell you, the bauxite was treated with aqueous sodium hydroxide solution and heated at 470 to 520 Kelvin at 35 atmosphere will get the complex, and this complex is soluble. It is obtained as a filtrate, and this filtrate is filled with carbon dioxide gas. Or carbon dioxide gas is passed through this filtrate. We will get a precipitate, that is Al2O3 SH2O, which is solid, and then sodium bicarbonate aqueous solution is obtained, and this is again filtered, and it was dried and heated at 1670 Kelvin to give pure alumina. So this is the alkali leaching, and the last method is acid leaching. Here the next method is acid leaching. It is mainly used to leach the sulfide ore. For example, this zinc sulfide or zinc blende, it is treated with hot aqueous sulfuric acid. Hot aqueous sulfuric acid. Hot aqueous sulfuric acid. In the presence of oxygen, it forms zinc sulfate. Zinc sulfate plus elemental sulfur, or the sulfur in the native state is obtained, and this can be converted into soluble sulfates. The sulfides can be converted, the sulfur can be converted into soluble sulfate and elemental sulfur. Soluble sulfates and elemental sulfur. So again I will tell, this acid leaching is applicable to leach sulfide ore, for example zinc blende and alumina, that is ZnS and PbS. The zinc blende is treated with hot aqueous sulfuric acid, air is passed through it, and we get zinc sulfate in aqueous medium, and 2S, that is sulfur is obtained, and the sulfur can be converted to soluble sulfate and elemental sulfur. So this is the acid leaching. What are the leaching methods we have learned? That is, first one will be what? Cyanide leaching, second one ammonia leaching, third one alkali leaching, fourth one what? Acid leaching. So these are the 4 types of